You know you're gonna be getting shown up by a dog, but you know what? He's a real pro.
We all know anything can happen out there. Sometimes we feel lost. We push and we suffer. We keep going. Hey, what happened to you, boy?
You know, when you got a movie like this that's, you know, a true story, people want to be a part of bringing that story to the big screen. So our director, Simon Catlin Jones, I realized I've been pronouncing his name wrong for 3.5 years. And he told me during our promotion of our last film, I'm like, why did you take so long to tell me the correct pronunciation of your name? I don't even really remember how to pronounce it. I just remember the incorrect pronunciation. But, well, I had produced Ballers, and, you know, he directed multiple episodes of that. So getting an opportunity to work with him and the rest of the cast. With Simu Suleiman, he and I had worked together on Lone Survivor. So it was nice to reunite with him as well. So I always gravitate towards the true stories. But it was a little piece on ESPN that I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know too much about adventure racing, and I thought it was an incredible story, super inspiring, and this man who, you know, was so determined, he would have given a limb to be able to call himself a world champion.
This race doesn't define you.
I raced for 19 years. This is my last chance to win.
To sacrifice all that and everything he did to prepare to get to a level to be able to win that race, to give that up and do the most selfless thing by giving up the race to save Arthur was a special story. It was fun to share the screen with him, and once we connected, you know, you felt like you were really acting opposite him. You know you're gonna be getting shown up, you know, by a dog, but you know what? He's a real pro. You know, he would understand what we were trying to accomplish in the moment, and you know, you needed a talent of the caliber of Ukai to be able to pull that off. There was lots of distractions because, you know, he's got his trainer who's used to doing things a certain way, and like I don't want to like stop and like reset and all that stuff. So when we finally really bonded, like there was a real connection there. He actually lived right next door to me in the DR, so we'd like come over in the morning and we'd hang out. We'd practice a little bit together, but you know, it was really just about connecting and bonding. So spending time together. You know, he knew if he wanted that fresh filet mignon in the morning, he had to just beat his trainer over there. She couldn't keep up with him. And as soon as he hit that door, he was already 2-3 steaks in by the time she came around the corner. Don't feed the dog, she said. I said, oh, no, I would never do that without your permission. He's already, you know, eating 2 pounds of you know, prime sirloin. Yeah, I had to figure out how to get up the courage to step out of my trailer in those spandex shorts. You know, I'm a fitness guy, but I'm a sweatpants guy, not a real, you know. I remember I constantly made fun of my assistant who was into cycling. So he would shave his legs, always would show up to the hotel. I said, you can't show up to the hotel. You can't wear those to work. You know, if you were cycling, you're on your bike, I guess it's cool. But he really got a kick out of me having to shave my legs and strap on the spandex.
I don't know, guys. This looks pretty unsafe to me.
Only one way to find out.
I get there in the morning and we're at the zip line and I'm like, well, what's going on? They're like, go out. Just go out to the zip line. We're gonna stop you in the middle, and then we'll just hang off, and the cameraman's there and just play the scene out. I'm like, what? I'm up there and I'm like, why did I agree to this? We could easily be doing this on a soundstage, but the intensity of it, it works so well. You know, and the idea of having to disconnect to pass her and then have her disconnect and hang from bike to bike was pretty darn cool. So yeah, it's one of those moments where like, you know, free solo where you feel like you're actually really there. There were times where we'd be on a wires with cranes and, you know, just doing it 30, 40 feet off the ground. You know, we shot all the wide stuff, obviously, and everything that we could on the actual zip line. You know, you're on a wire, but it definitely helps as opposed to like standing on the ground and pretending to be up there, pretending to create the tension. In a perfect world, you make everything as realistic as possible. You know, we can always figure out how to fake it and pretend, but the more realistic you can create that tension and, that sense of danger, the better I think it's gonna be all around. The athlete in me, always up for a more and more difficult challenge, especially when it comes to the physicality of it. Anytime we went out on the kayaks, we'd have follow boats, but you're not getting out of the kayak onto the boat. You're kind of pedaling, you're paddling out or paddling back in against the current. You're sitting kind of in a hunched position for such a long time. So that was doing the most damage on my back, but I got a lot of injuries. I got some herniated discs. I tore my meniscus the first day of shooting. Mentally it set me back quite a bit because it was the first day, second scene, running at half speed on a trail, but I had to kind of go up and we're passing another team. So as I go up the side of the embankment, I'm jumping down onto a rock and I just kind of hyperextended my knee and I heard it pop. But, I think was also good for the part because you're dealing with all of these different injuries, the ailments, the pain. You have to fight through all these things. And, this is about suffering at the highest level through all the pain and a lot of mental, challenge as well, and being able to dig deeper and find another gear in yourself that you didn't know you had. I'd go home and lick my wounds after, but, those are still the kind of parts that I look forward to playing. I always want to kind of challenge myself physically, and, I think getting in there, making it real. I've fulfilled many of my childhood dreams of being a professional athlete through making films. Well, for me, I hadn't really had any kind of formal training or anything, so just having the experience of being on set, taking it all in, really understanding what everybody's jobs and roles were, both in front of and behind the camera, and understanding the entire process. I'm still a student of the process, and it never gets boring if you're doing something that you're truly passionate about. Complaining is not an option. When you're doing a movie like this, these guys did this in real life. So to be able to go out there, do a couple of takes, and have multiple days to do it. I mean, to travel 500 miles in 5 days on foot, on bikes and kayaks, through that kind of terrain, the biggest physical and mental challenge that you could face as an athlete in a team sport, but also individually. You can't let your team down. If you're not all crossing the finish line, you can't cross the finish line. If somebody needs to take an IV, then the entire team takes a penalty. And you're only as good as the guy next to you. It's such an inspirational story. I think many people will take many different things away, but I definitely know people will be inspired by it and people will be moved by it. Some people may want to run out and, adopt a dog. Other people may want to go out and do something that they've always wanted to do that they thought would be a thrill or an adventure and never really had the ability to. And other people are going to put, a much more of an emphasis on the things that they find important in life. People will find lots of different things, take away from the movie. That's the great thing about a true story and about something that's really inspiring to people. There's so much to take from it.